Hi everyone, I hope your summer is off to a good start. I just wanted to welcome you to our online professional development course in developmental spelling theory and word study instruction. Basically, in a nutshell, this course is about spelling instruction and research-based effective ways to help students to learn to spell, but also to use their spelling to help them with their reading. And a lot of people nowadays kind of push spelling aside. Spelling has been really marginalized. I mean, with the invention of spell check and all of these different things, why would you even need to know how to spell? Well, it's important because spelling is highly related to reading, especially in the primary grades. And students' spellings can show you what they understand about the English language, about English orthography. So spelling really is a window into children's reading development, and a very clear window. You can see what they're using but confusing, or what they haven't discovered yet. For example, if the student is spelling words with long vowels, and every time it has a long vowel, they put a silent E, well, they're using but confusing the silent E pattern instead of putting in other patterns such as vowel teams and things as that. So I'd like to start off this week, our first week, week 1 of 4, with a little introduction into some research behind developmental spelling theory, what that means, and word study instruction. So numerous studies have shown that reading and spelling really work together to develop word knowledge. And spelling and reading are reciprocal in nature, and that they are both founded in orthographic knowledge. So spelling and reading are really not as separate as most people think. And over the years, spelling instruction has really been pushed to the side and marginalized. It's been confined to homework assignments and rote memorization tasks that overall proved to be ineffective over time. I know you've probably all experienced this. You have your Friday spelling test, and come Monday, kiddos aren't sure how to spell those words they spelled on Friday. It's because they don't have the strategies to apply their word knowledge to these words. They're just spelling them out of memorization, which has actually been proven to be an ineffective way for students to learn spelling. So, spelling and reading are reciprocal in nature. They both feed off of one another. Spelling has been seen to be the most consistent predictor of reading achievement. Spelling instruction improves reading performance, including your sight word recognition. All in all, good spellers are good readers, and learning spelling can help enhance students' reading and writing abilities. But the importance of spelling instruction is often overlooked. It partially comes as a result of the misconception that the English language is very random and disorganized in nature, so the kids have to memorize these words. There's no way they're going to learn the rules. But it's not true. Most words in the English language actually follow a predictable systematic pattern. And teaching students the specific rules of English orthography helps them to generalize their skills and to read a much wider variety of words than if they were just taught through rote memorization and graded lists. Numerous studies suggest that students should explore the various spelling patterns of English language in a meaningful way, such as through word sorts, word hunts, and different word study activities we're going to look into over the course of this program. And it helps them to read and spell with greater efficiency and accuracy. So there's quite a few studies related to this. I just wanted to review a few quick things. If you feel the need to read more about research, I have written a review of all of the literature and research on developmental spelling theory and word study instruction, and I've included it on the blog. So take a look. It is under the videos and link page that you can find the link to at the top. But basically, the seminal study, the beginning classic study for developmental spelling theory, was by Charles Reed in 1971, and he looked into preschoolers' spellings, and he found that they weren't random in nature, as previously thought, but instead they followed a systematic developmental pattern. In other words, there was a logic behind the students' spellings, and it was predictable based on their amount of knowledge and experience with words. And this is where the whole idea of invented spelling came into play. So, Henderson in 1990 was one researcher who followed, and many did, followed Charles Reade's original seminal research study. And he developed a basic set of stages that students go through as they learn how to spell. And everyone follows the same developmental stage, but at different rates. So Henderson defined the 5 stages of spelling development, which have been modified over time, but he defined them as pre-literate, letter name, within word pattern, syllable juncture, and derivational constancy. And they go from less complex to more complex. The pre-literate stage is just when their handwriting starts to look a bit like scribbling, and as they progress through this stage, they're going to start using the more salient initial and final consonant sounds like the C and T and cat. And then the letter name stage, students' spellings start to demonstrate a concept of word and an expanding sight word vocabulary. They start to use their letter sound relationships more regularly. They're spelling those CVC words like cat. During the within word pattern stage, students' spelling begins to take into account more complex patterns, like consonant blends and digraphs like sh and shut. But they're still looking at single syllable words. And then next, the syllable juncture stage, the students' spellings begin to include multisyllabic words and different patterns with vowel teams and joining of syllables. And then the final stage is derivational constancy. And these stages don't just apply to students, it's really people in all walks of life. And many adults are in different stages, but the derivational constancy stage is when spellers use their vocabulary and their knowledge of spelling patterns, but they start to play around with the meanings of different parts of the words, like Greek and Latin prefixes and suffixes. So all students really do follow the same pattern, but at different rates, which is why it's very, very important that we do not prescribe our whole class the second grade level words and everybody gets the same words every week. Because chances are, even if you have a small classroom like I do, you might have 6 kids in there. They might be at 3 different levels. You have to assess them, which we'll get into next week, to figure out where you should instruct them. But basically, spelling is the window into reading. If you can learn to effectively assess students' spellings, you can get such a better understanding of their reading abilities, and vice versa. By looking at their reading, you can see their spelling. So there's many studies. One such study that I really liked was Gill's 1992 study, where he explored the relationship between spelling stages and reading development. And what he did is he had a group of 1st through 3rd graders, and he first assessed their spelling. And then he used those same exact words that he assessed their spelling with, and he asked the students to read them. And he found that the words that the students read correctly and spelt correctly, they were correlated. They were pretty much the same words. And the words the students misspelled and the words the students misread were the same words. So it's really clear to see that spelling and reading are really highly related. So I won't bore you with all of my studies, but please feel free to enjoy them and look through all of the resources I have put up for you this week. I'm really excited to be working with you guys. I'm going to be putting up a new video every Wednesday and a new set of information on all of my pages for the next week of study. But this week, I just really wanted to focus on the research behind developmental spelling theory and word study, why we should do it, and why it's effective, why spell check just isn't going to cut it. All right, I hope you have a wonderful week. Please check out the blog. Make sure you fill out your 2 pre-surveys for this week, the week 1 pre-survey and the course pre-survey. And please fill out the What Stuck With You comment page of anything that you learned this week from looking through the resources. Alrighty, thanks so much. Have a great week and happy spelling!